Hello and good morning, and of course thank you for joining us for the virtual launch of Staffordshire University's Opportunity Action Plan, part of the Social Mobility Pledge initiative. I'm Joel Alexander Williams and I'm newly graduated from the Broadcast Journalism course here at Staffordshire University, and I have the pleasure of introducing Professor Liz Barnes CBE DL, who is the Vice-Chancellor and Chief Executive of Staffordshire University, and we're coming to you live from the eSports Hub at our Stoke-on-Trent campus. We're delighted to welcome the Right Honourable Justine Greening as well, who is the founder of the Social Mobility Pledge, who's joining us online, as well as our invited panellists linking us with us through the area of Stoke-on-Trent, virtually of course. I'd also like to take this time to welcome those who are watching via our live stream on YouTube. It's such a shame, of course, that we can't all be together in person, but we've got a great lineup prepared for you that will give you some insight into our university and the steps we're taking to drive social mobility progress through outreach, access and recruitment. The event will also include a panel discussion later on around work being done in Stoke-on-Trent to bridge that social mobility gap and spread opportunity as well. If you're on Twitter, you can share your thoughts with us by tweeting at StaffsUni, and your tweet might even be included in our broadcast later today. Now, let's get straight down to business. I'm going to hand over to Liz for the official welcome.
Good morning, everyone. I'm delighted that so many distinguished guests have been able to join us today for the launch of Staffordshire University's Opportunity Action Plan. I'd like to offer my personal thanks to the Right Honourable Justine Greening, who has been instrumental in helping our institution to catalyse its activities in this area as a signatory to the Social Mobility Pledge. If you're a proponent of equality, the merits of social mobility should be self-evident. It is the cornerstone upon which the ideals of equality are built, from access to education and healthcare to civil rights and women's empowerment and everything in between. Social mobility is equality of opportunity in action. It may seem counterintuitive, but I believe one of the most important steps towards achieving social mobility is to acknowledge that it does not exist, or at least that true social mobility does not yet exist. Whether at a local, national or global level, it is clear to see we are not born with equality of opportunity, which is why we must identify inequality in all its forms and work together as a society to level the playing field. My first job was as a PE teacher and maths teacher at Longton High School, which until it was demolished in 2011 stood approximately 6 miles from where I'm currently sat. I went on to work in a broad range of education-focused roles across the UK in universities before joining Staffordshire University in 2016. Having spent my entire professional career in the field of education, I've seen that when schools, colleges and universities embrace equality, diversity and inclusivity, they represent the perfect vehicles for social mobility, because they offer nurturing environments in which people of all ages and from all backgrounds are empowered to break down barriers and achieve their full potential. I've also seen, however, how educators can have the opposite effect. Some of us are fortunate enough to remember the encouraging words of inspirational teachers and lecturers throughout our lives, but others remember those who said they would not achieve their goals. When you are constantly told you are not good enough to succeed, you start to believe it. Make no mistake, words of discouragement can have a lifelong impact too. As Vice-Chancellor and Chief Executive of Staffordshire University and co-chair of the Stoke-on-Trent Opportunity Area with my friend and colleague Carol Shanahan, I have witnessed firsthand both the transformative power of inclusive education and the deleterious impact its absence can have on people's lives. Many things can prevent us from accessing and benefiting from education, and these factors are frequently connected to our background rather than our ability. All too often, we're judged on where we are from rather than what we can do. Inequality of opportunity represents a particular challenge in social mobility cold spots such as Stoke-on-Trent, where levels of child poverty and participation in higher education are amongst the worst in the UK. What's more, these determinants extend into adulthood, with approximately 1/3 of our city's workforce employed in low-skilled jobs, significantly above the national average. However, one thing of which I'm absolutely certain it is never too late to start levelling the playing field of equality of opportunity, and it sits at the very heart of Staffordshire University's activities. Approximately 40% of our students come from areas that are amongst the most deprived in the country, with some having experienced challenges such as homelessness and substance misuse. Many of our students are among the first in their families to go to university. Our role as a university is therefore to provide our students with the opportunities that their counterparts in other areas may take for granted. One example that springs to mind involves a student who joined Staffordshire University in his early 40s. Having developed a drug problem at the age of 14, he'd been fighting addiction as well as countless associated challenges all his life. Many in society may have viewed this person as down and out, but he worked hard, graduated from Staffordshire University, and now informs national policy on substance and misuse and addiction. He is one of the many people I've seen transform their lives through education. Yes, disadvantaged students require support, but most of all, they need the opportunity to succeed and for someone to believe in them. We're working to integrate social mobility within the very fabric of our institution by skilling, enabling and empowering our students to pursue their own paths to learning and development so that they have the tools they need to operate autonomously as independent thinkers. Our approach rests on the twin tenets of lifelong and life-wide learning in the sense that we recognise students bring different skills and experiences with them when they enter higher education. Not everyone joins Staffordshire University at the same stage in their life, and it's vital that we can capitalise on our students' varied backgrounds to help them achieve their full potential. It was therefore immensely exciting to sign up to the Social Mobility Pledge, which not only recognises the importance of equality of opportunity to our society's long-term success, but is also actively working to drive progress through outreach, access and recruitment. The prospect of joining forces with the Social Mobility Pledge team and more than 500 like-minded organisations to boost social mobility was simply too good an opportunity to miss. It's also a privilege to welcome you all today for the launch of Staffordshire University's Opportunity Action Plan, which sets out in detail the problem we intend to address and how we intend to address it. Put simply, we could not hope to improve social mobility without the support of you, our community, partners. So I would like to thank you all once again for your ongoing passion and dedication in raising aspirations and improving prospects across our region. This is what social mobility is all about. I would now like to hand over to Justine, who will talk more about the goals and vision of the Social Mobility Pledge.
Thanks so much, Liz, and it's been an absolute pleasure but also privilege to be able to work with you and the team at Staffordshire on pulling together this Opportunity Action Plan. We've called it Game Changer because that's what we believe that Staffordshire is able to do for the students that it has at the university and for the wider community and region. I think you very eloquently set out why social mobility matters so much. The reality is that for Britain, weak social mobility is almost a tradition. It's how things have always been. But I think that there are many of us who feel that just because that's how we have had things work in Britain is not how they need to work in the future. And that strengthening social mobility and delivering this vision of equality of opportunity, whoever you are, wherever you are, isn't just something that matters to people as individuals. It's mattering to communities because opportunity really is the glue that holds all of us together, this sense that we can all have a fair shot in life. But I think it goes even beyond that. I think it's about how our country more broadly can be successful in the future, how we can have a successful economy. And only yesterday, we saw in Parliament the spending review and a debate about how we are going to be able to recover from COVID. And it surely holds that the best chance of Britain being able to get back on its feet and back on track is if everyone in this country of ours has the chance to truly contribute in the way that they have the potential to do so. I think the question has always been, how do you do that? How do you actually, in practice, go beyond the rhetoric of levelling up and what we want to see to actually delivering it on the ground and genuinely changing lives day to day and changing aspirations and ambitions, not through persuading people that somehow the world is different to how it is, but through demonstrating and truly showing them that actually there is a path for them and their lives to be able to reach their potential and then reap the rewards from doing that. For me, achieving social mobility and achieving equality of opportunity surely has two core components. One is developing the talent that this country has. The second is then enabling it to be connected up with opportunities. And the reason we called the Staffordshire work game changing is because that's exactly what it does. It looks at the talent locally, not just in and around its immediate local communities, but far more broadly than that, to challenge what I think are wrong perceptions of who is able to go into higher education and thrive in that environment. I'm someone who knows just how much higher education can be a game changer. Going to university absolutely changed my own life for the better. I was the first person in my family to have the chance to go to university, to really think about going to university. I had parents who had no sense really of what doing a degree would mean. They'd both left school after 16, but they were supportive of me. And that made all the difference. Although they couldn't give me advice, they were always behind me in my studies. They were always there as a family support to help me be able to take that next step of going into university. But actually for different people, trying to get through studies almost with a supportive family is the least of their challenges. For others, they face a multitude of challenges that go well beyond, if you like, having a quiet space to be able to sit down and do your A-levels. And as Liz set out so eloquently in her opening statement, what Staffordshire has really challenged itself to do is to say, let's just not reach out to that next group of young people, perhaps that first generation, like I was, that can go to university. Let's go well beyond that. Let's go to those, not just young people, but people who are further on in their lives who perhaps had fallen out of education but want to come back. Let's make sure that we reach out to young people and people who perhaps had experience in the care system. Let's reach out to people who perhaps, as she said, have suffered homelessness or even addiction, and had a variety of different challenges in their life, perhaps even with learning difficulties, have the potential, but then challenges in learning to be able to reach it. I think the work that Staffordshire has done totally sets the bar in a different and higher place for demonstrating what a higher education institution can do in order to be able to make sure that if you have the potential, you can get a degree and go to higher education and overcome those barriers that are stopping you and are in your way from reaching it. And it's absolutely crucial if we're going to be able to achieve this goal of equality of opportunity, that those barriers that are in the way of people reaching their potential and developing their talent are ones that they can overcome. But it takes an institution like Staffordshire to enable that to happen. I think the other key part of this Opportunity Action Plan that we really wanted to work on and identify was then what happens at the university in order to make sure that students can truly thrive and do the best that they can. But then finally, of course, crystallizing that in connecting them up to opportunity. And that's really where the wider social mobility pledge initiative comes in. Because fundamentally, it's asking businesses to think much more strategically about where they look for talent and what kind of talent they're looking for. It's always been very clear in my mind that one of the reasons I was able to progress in life wasn't in spite of the background I had growing up in Rotherham. It was actually because of it. It was because of what I was able to learn, having to overcome the challenges that I faced in my earlier life. And I know that that holds for so many other young people coming through our education system now, and exactly the kinds of young people and mature students who are studying at a higher education institution like Staffordshire. For us, the Social Mobility Pledge isn't just about working with amazing higher education institutions like Staffordshire that are truly delivering levelling up on the ground. It's also working with those businesses that understand why levelling up matters, and the fact that they can not only play a huge role in spreading opportunity, but actually they can get to that wider talent pool that so many businesses are still missing out on. The next stage of this work for us is to showcase truly the work that Staffordshire is doing, and to work with the university to really advocate and help it show leadership more widely in the higher education sector, but then to encourage more universities to look at that work and adopt it. And then beyond that, to really encourage more employers to look at places like Staffordshire for that talent bed that is there. I think it's a really exciting time. I think it's tribute to the work that Staffordshire has been doing over many years now, that it is able to have the impact that it does, not just through the university and the work that you do there, Liz, but of course through the wider work on education as part of the opportunity area that you've co-chaired with Carol, and it's fantastic that she will be on the panel later on. I think what it shows is that levelling up and higher education absolutely go hand in hand. And it's catalysts like Staffordshire that are genuinely how we are going to be able to level up this country. And that's why I'm so proud of the work that we've been able to do with you. I'm delighted to be able to launch the Game Changer Opportunity Action Plan. And I'm absolutely determined, and I know that you are, Liz, that this is the beginning of our work to drive levelling up. And we will collectively make sure that we build that coalition ever wider to have an ever bigger impact in more and more communities over time. It's never been more important that the opportunities we have in this country are open to the widest possible talent pool, and that's what we're determined to do over the coming months and years. So thank you so much for working with us, for helping pull together this brilliant action plan, and we're looking forward to the panel event later that we've got. But I think in the meantime, Joe, I'm going to hand it back over to you, because I think we're going to see some videos that will bring to life the work that Staffordshire is doing on the ground day to day.
Well, thank you so much, Justine, and of course to Liz as well for those really important and equally inspiring messages as well. Now, unfortunately, we're not able to offer at present a hands-on tour of our facilities here at Staffordshire University, but I'm very pleased to say that we can at least show you around a small part of it virtually. So, some of the video clips being shown today were filmed prior to COVID-19. First up, we want to show the Smart Zone at 1.3 million. Sorry, we're having some technical difficulties with the autocue at the moment, but with regards to that, we've got a little video coming up with regards to the esports hub here at Staffordshire University. Obviously, once again, I really want to take the time to make sure that these videos coming up were obviously filmed prior to COVID-19, so do keep that in mind. But as I said before, we'd like to show you our Smart Zone, which is a £1.3 million facility opened by His Royal Highness the Duke of Gloucester, and last November this was, of course. And the Smart Zone itself is designed to equip students to solve the problems of tomorrow, and it provides them with the tools and technologies necessary to undertake projects, work in areas including sustainable power, AI and robotics, games and visual effects, as well as self-driving vehicle design and wearable technologies as well. So the Smart Zone itself provides students with access to a range of laser cutters, machinery and the milling tools for the use by engineers, product designers and artists alike. So there is also a 3D factory staffed by technical experts who can offer advice as well as instruction on the full range of 3D printers available for use. All this can be accessed by students for absolutely free. The The only cost is for 3D printing, where students just pay for the material used, and it's making it more accessible essentially for the process to go ahead than going to those external companies, of course. In addition, our computer rooms are now open evenings and weekends, so students have access to those high-spec PCs and the specialist software that come with them outside of standard opening hours. Our VR pods are now also be able to be booked for the evenings. So without further ado, let's take a look at the Smart Zone.
Hi, I'm Heidi Robinson. I'm the Technical Services Manager for Smart Technology, and I'm here today to welcome you to our new Smart Zone. The Smart Zone is a £1.3 million project that has reimagined the ground floor and the first floor of the Mellor building. It has brought together existing equipment from all over the campus and also introduced lots of new equipment to create facilities that are available and visible for all. So let's have a look around our new Smart Zone. This is our new breakout space. We've brought some new furniture where students can sit and relax, use their own devices, have coffee, catch up with friends, and we've also reupholstered and recycled some existing furniture to keep with our environmentally friendly theme. Here is the makerspace. It's a drop-in facility and people can just come and do whatever they need to realise their projects. So here they can do soldering, gluing, light sanding, some light manufacture work. So here we are in the new 3D factory. This is our bureau service and this is where you'll find support staff for this ground floor area. We have a counter service where students can come and book their slots on the 3D printers and the laser cutters, and also to get any advice for using the Smart Zone. So here we are in the 3D printer room. So we have a range of 8 3D printers, and here students can experiment using different filaments and different materials, like the Mark Forge, which has carbon fibre in it. We've got PLA, so a bit more environmentally friendly, ABS. So there'll be a whole range of materials, a whole range of printers, each with their own characteristics. Here we are in our new specialist PC lab. Each workstation has a high-end PC, dual monitors and the Wacom Intuos Pro Medium tablets, and also a range of specialist software.
At the other end of the corridor, students can find our dedicated suite of laser scanning facilities, enabling them to use our various laser scanners and perform close-range photogrammetry for their projects. Welcome to the XR Lab, where we mix actual reality with virtual reality. In here, students can experiment with a variety of different game environments and gameplay scenarios. We have 2 virtual reality spaces where students from any course can book out a headset and experience incredible VR demos. The virtual reality development space allows up to 12 students to simultaneously develop their own VR applications. The visualization and simulation studio is booked out by students who wish to perform laser scanning on large objects or photogrammetry. While the handy scan is ideal for objects of small to medium sizes, we can also facilitate the laser scanning of environments of up to 70 meters using the Faro S70.
So that was a whistle-stop tour of our new Smart Zone facilities. To keep updated, follow us on Twitter @TechStaffs, and hope to see you soon at Open Day, where you're welcome to come and have a look around for yourself.
Well, the next part of our virtual tour is to visit the esports hub here at Stoke campus, which we're actually in right now, if you haven't noticed so far. And it's obviously, the next thing is to look at the university, which is obviously based in London now as well. And we are committed to making our students ultra employable in new and emerging industries too. We are at the forefront of digital careers, of course, offering innovative courses and degrees in areas such as esports, which is one of the fastest growing industries in the world, in fact. Staffordshire was the first university in the world to offer an undergraduate esports degree in 2018 and is still one of the biggest and best games universities in the UK, offering a wide range of high-tech and games business degrees. In fact, the university was recently announced as the overall winner in the Higher Education Institution category at the Grads in Games Awards 2020. We were also yesterday named Best Educational Institution at the TIGA Awards, which is obviously the games industry of 2020, not to mention shortlisted for the Best Education Initiative and Talent Development for the third year in a row. Of course, digital poverty in education remains high, of course, and on the agenda, and the lack of digital support available to the students has been brought into sharp relief this year as many were unable to study remotely. A recent survey from the Office for Students showed that during the coronavirus lockdown we experienced in the summer, only 52% of UK students said their learning was impacted by slow or unreliable internet connection, and 18% were impacted by a lack of access to a computer, laptop or tablet. At Staffordshire University, our digital services team had a big focus on ensuring that this technology was provided to those students who had lack of access, and especially on courses that are so dependent on it, such as esports, game design, and the degree for myself was of course broadcast journalism, which is heavily dependent on those practical and specialist effects. So where specialist equipment is essential, let's take a look around our esports hub and Staffordshire University, London.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Esports Hub at the Stoke campus of Staffordshire University. My name's Matt, I'm a technical specialist, and my role is to teach you guys how to use the space from a technical point of view. Starting over with this side of the room, we've got the gaming area, which forms part of our esports set. This is a 6v6 PC setup, so we can have up to 12 gamers in this space. As you can see, it's got gaming chairs, it's got creative lighting, so it forms part of our esports set. Let's take a look at the technical gallery over on this side. So the technical gallery is made up of several technical roles. As you can see, it's an open plan area, which is great from a teaching point of view. Let's start at the top. So this is where the lighting operator will sit. This person is responsible for the setup of the creative lights within the gamers area. They're also responsible for the broadcast lights for the presenters and casters area as well. Next to the lighting operator, we've got the sound operator. So this person is the one who is mixing all of the different audio sources that we have within the space. So that could be the audio from the 12 PCs. It could be the audio from the presenters or casters, or it could be any pre-recorded content or background audio or background music as well. So that's the audio and sound operator. Next to that operator, we've got the vision mixer. This person is responsible for cutting between all of the visual shots. So again, this could be the 12 gaming PCs, it could be the cameras within the space, or again, it could be pre-recorded content, or even games consoles as well. Next to the vision mixer, we've got the spectator PC. If your game has a spectator mode, then we can have a spectator operator within the technical gallery as well. And again, this pipes in directly to the vision mixer as well. Moving along, we've got the graphics operator. So any custom graphics that you want to set up as part of your show, we can do that at this workstation here. This could be things like league tables, player stats, that kind of thing. So this is where the graphics operator will sit. And finally, we've got the teleprompting software as well. Teleprompting is basically the scripts that your presenters or casters might use to form part of your show. As you can see on this screen at the moment, we've got Josh, who's ready to present to us with this script that we can see on the top screen. And if we look at one of the teleprompters on the front of the cameras, this is what Josh will read. Okay, so within our studio set, we've got 3 4K cameras, broadcast cameras, which are used for our presenters and casters. We've also got a 4th camera, which is called a pan tilt zoom camera, and that can be used to move and focus in on our 12 different players or gamers within the PC space. So yeah, that's our teleprompters and cameras. And then the final area to show you is the area where the presenters and casters sit.
Hello Stoke and welcome to the London campus. We have a few similarities here at the London campus to the Stoke one. For example, we have really good facilities, but here we have some differences, like our state-of-the-art esports arena, which is a bit different to how they operate it in Stoke. We also have a very different vibe to Stoke. We have a small campus, which is in one building, compared to Stoke's many buildings. But we do have some advantages. For example, we have esports companies in the same building as us, so we will be able to look for opportunities as a gaming university and technology university to look into those digital companies to help us with our placements and whatever more. So thank you for joining us at the London campus, Stoke, and we shall see you next time.
Well, from London back to Staffordshire University in Stoke-on-Trent. We're back here in the esports hub, of course, where the broadcast is coming from. Next in the programme, we have a recorded presentation from Dr. Alyssa Phillips, Director of Student Recruitment and Admissions, who will highlight some of the key steps we're taking to widen participation and open doors of opportunity for young people.
On behalf of all my colleagues working in student recruitment and admissions at Staffordshire University, I wanted to share our delight to be part of the Social Mobility Pledge initiative. Underpinning all the work we do across our communities is our commitment to expanding education opportunities for all. We deliver projects proven to have the direct impact to widen access to higher education and aim to affect change to individuals and their communities. For many years, we have delivered education outreach activities in our local area to all age groups, and this year we were most excited to launch our new Connect You Passport to Higher Education program. Connect You has been developed by Staffordshire University to give students the opportunity to feel part of our community long before they enrol. Underpinned by the GASB benchmarks, Connect You offers sustained academic outreach and information, advice and guidance, and it focuses on activity that has the greatest impact in terms of improving success and progression to higher education, including apprenticeships.
Do you want a head start on your future? Education is a huge part of your life, and sometimes the expectation to get good grades can weigh you down. But did you know that studying can be about more than just your future career? It can be a place of entertainment, activity, drama, travel, life experience. That's why we are offering you a chance to start your future right now with our Connect You programme. Connect You is a chance to get a head start on your future. It's a chance for you to sample a higher education experience and explore your options. With us, you'll meet staff and students, gain valuable information on finance and support for your future, and get priority access to university events. Whether you're looking to study a degree, an apprenticeship, or you have something else in mind, this could be your stepping stone to higher education. Year 7 to 9? Fresh out the blocks? We've got you covered. Join Connect You and get access to dedicated contacts from the university. Looking into your future? Take tours around campus. Build confidence in your goals. Earn an extra certificate for your achievement. Year 10 to 11? It's time to get serious. Let us guide you. Discover more about university life and the opportunities available. Realise the power you have with options in further education. Take advantage of work placement opportunities. Get the next level in Connect You certification. Year 12 and beyond? The future's on your doorstep, and so are we. Find out what to expect in the next stage of education. Explore other avenues of study with apprenticeship support. Attend free subject masterclasses and facility demonstrations at Staffordshire University. Get help with finance, personal statements, and take the stress out of university applications. This is an opportunity to find out what's out there for you after school or college, and one that you can opt out of guilt-free at any time. And the best thing about Connect You? It's completely free to join. So what are you waiting for? Join Connect You, start the journey of tomorrow, and bring your future to life.
We know it's important to engage with young people early in their decision making, and we're proud of the work we also do with our local primary schools, such as the Explore Primary project. Some of my personal favourite outreach events are when we open our campus to the community and local schools for community days such as the Big Biology Day or our STEM events like the Big Bang Fair.
Welcome to the Big Bang Fair West Midlands 2019 here at Staffordshire University. So let's have a look at some of the highlights today.
Yes, it's been really fun so far. I've really enjoyed it. We've gone to the sports section. My favourite was probably the football darts.
So today we've got this big planetarium, perhaps it's the largest in the UK, mobile, and we are showing a video all about the sun.
Some diseases to look at through the microscopes. We've got a big man on there where we can find out what's going on with his organs, and we can have a bit of a dissect over there and take him apart and look at the organs.
So this was actually used to culture penicillin in the 1940s.
Our stand is about psychology, and we've got mirror drawing, which is basically drawing, but you can only see your hand in a mirror. So it sounds simple, but it isn't.
We focus on education opportunities for all, and one of the areas we're having a significant impact is with helping adults return to education. Our Step Up to Higher Education is a free 10-week course for adults considering university after a break in their studies. The course builds confidence to study, as well as personalised and dedicated academic skills support. This course has been hugely successful over the past 4 years, and demand for it is continuing to grow. In addition, our partnership with Step Up and the YMCA has provided tailored support that includes pastoral, academic and a vital financial support package for our YMCA learners.
Step Up takes you as a perfect starting point or a taste of university life or study for any students that might be unsure about where to go, what to do, whether university is going to be right for them. So it's kind of like dipping the toe in the water just to make sure that university is going to be right before they set off onto an undergraduate degree.
Well, I'm a busy mom of two. I'm a senior banking consultant. I work for NatWest. And although I love my job, I always feel like there's something missing. And I walked into Staffordshire University looking for answers or searching for a course that would help me to do that.
Before I considered joining the Step Up course, I actually applied to be a store manager in the job that I work at the moment, and was unfortunately unsuccessful for the role. This kind of prompted me then to think, well, maybe I need a degree to progress.
I didn't know what to expect, I didn't know how it'd be, what the group would be like, what it'd actually be like at uni. So I was nervous about writing, how that was going to come out and whether I could do it.
mainly the change in me, my confidence and everything like that, because like I say, I was rock bottom, and now I'm getting me back. I'm going off on day trips. I go here and there and everywhere with my little boy now. I'm meeting people I would generally just not have crossed paths with. The whole environment has brought me out of myself, and that's what I want to continue doing.
And as soon as I got the email, I was like so excited to start, because I felt like finally something that I had passion for, writing, you know, something was happening about that.
I particularly enjoyed the way that the Step Up courses give me the skills to improve my academic writing and just generally back into education.
Friendly, beneficial, definitely rewarding, without a doubt.
Oh, it's been amazing. It's really fun and it's free, so it's priceless. Yes, I definitely recommend Step Up programme to anybody who's in a situation like me, parents, you know, and they wanted to better themselves.
I would recommend Step Up course to anybody looking to change their career. I always feel like you should carry your dreams and never give up.
To make a difference for social mobility, we know connecting with our local communities is crucial. Working with others also strengthens our knowledge and extends our reach. We're also proud of the work we do on several collaborative outreach programs, including mentoring programs with our local football clubs and High Horizons Plus, the UniConnect program. Since 2017, we have worked in partnership with our local universities through High Horizons Plus on delivering high-intensity outreach activities. This includes our arts and science-based Saturday clubs, where we bring young people onto campus on a Saturday morning. Learners engaging with High Horizons Plus program were nearly 2.5 times more likely to progress to university than young people in their area in 2019. 2020 has provided many challenges for the work we do, and we've at times had to flex our delivery. To delivering science packs during lockdown to our Saturday club pupils so that they can continue with their learning at home, to be video streamed into virtual classrooms. What it's showing us is how important the work we do is to ensure access for all to high quality academic outreach and information, advice and guidance about higher education options, and has also shown us the commitment of the staff and our students here at Staffordshire University to make an impact for social mobility.
Hi, and you're back with our live stream here. And obviously, if you still want to get involved, make sure you go over to Twitter and get connected with ourselves at Staffs Uni. For now, we'll move on to a short video that will give you a flavour of the work the university does around supporting students into careers. At Staffordshire University, we are committed to developing talent and equipping graduates with the skills and expertise employers need in some of the fastest growing sectors of industry. Here with a short presentation is Martin Perfect, Head of Student and Graduate Employability.
The Career Studio is a physical space which we're in at the moment, and really the aim and the ethos behind the studio is that we employ our students, so they're students from the university. They work as career coaches in the studio, and they interact and support other students with all their career-related queries and inquiries that they have. So a career coach is a current student, an existing student. We contract them for 10 hours per week to fit around their studies, and really they're a kind of student expert on careers as a subject. So they go through an intensive training programme to make sure they're up to speed with everything from interviewing to CVs to covering letters to talking about different career pathways. And really what they do is they coach students, so they work with them, they ask them sometimes difficult and challenging questions really to help them get to the answers about what they want to do and where they want to go to after university.
Having students as coaches will break down the barriers because we do understand what they're going through. A lot of us have been through the same things. We've had to create our own CVs, we've had to go through placements, interviews to get those placements, graduate jobs. We have a few graduates who are coaches as well. We've all done all those things that our students are applying for. We've all been through the exact same processes, whereas some students might feel like a staff member may not have done a similar placement, may not have gone through a similar interview process, so they don't really understand them at the same level as what a coach as a student would understand them.
The mentoring scheme itself has been set up really on the back of the challenges that have been presented from COVID. We knew that this year our level 4 students, our students starting university, we're going to face a really difficult period. So to build on the peer-to-peer approach that we've developed in the Career Studio, we launched a peer-to-peer mentoring programme. And really the aim of the programme is that our existing students, our experienced students that have been through a cycle or an academic year can support and work with and mentor new students to university. I think that transition from college into university life is difficult at the best of times, but obviously with COVID this year and being on campus a lot less, that transition into university has been difficult really. So it's allowing our experienced students to mentor new students into university, get them settled in, get them familiar with working patterns and help them with any issues and challenges that they have.
My name is Joshua Nicholson. I currently study computer game design and production. I'm also in my final year, and I'm a part of the mentoring scheme for Staffordshire Uni. I would say to them, if they're really struggling, I would take the opportunity to be mentored, because it's really been really useful from the person I'm mentoring. From experience, my first year wasn't really that good because this mentoring scheme didn't really exist then. I believe that it has helped my confidence, otherwise I wouldn't be here now. And it's been really useful. It's a great opportunity to enhance your CV and to help others.
I think confidence and self-belief is so important when it comes to coaching. We have a lot of students who come to us who believe they can't do the things that it is they're trying to do. They can't achieve what role they're trying to achieve. So they come to us and say, I can't do it, I don't know what I'm doing. And once they've spoken to us, we kind of say, you can do it, you do know, you just need to have like a push in the right direction. And when they leave, they will generally feel a bit better, and they will then try and go and do it for themselves rather than us doing it for them.
So one of the reasons we adopted a peer-to-peer approach here at the university is because, of course, we want staff members to help students and assist students, but we also want students to help each other. So the Career Studio is a brilliant example of that. That's our current students supporting other students, and recently we've introduced, as we've talked about, the peer mentoring programme as well, so students can mentor each other. This is crucial for social mobility. As much as staff members can support students, we also want students to help and support each other as much as possible to scale up the approach. And the Career Studio has been a great leader really. It's been a great example for us as a university, and is obviously a key part of the social mobility pledge here at Staffordshire University. Video interview software, again, it's another solution to the COVID challenge really. We used to do lots of practice interviews, lots of face-to-face interviews, where our coaches would ask questions and give feedback to students, obviously with less face-to-face interaction, and giving students the opportunity to do interviews in the comfort of their own bedroom. We've purchased video interviewing software. So basically it poses a series of questions to students. They have a short amount of thinking time to prepare an answer. It then films their answer. Those answers come back to us. We can give some feedback to the students. So A, they get real good quality feedback on their answers, but B as well, they also get to watch themselves back so they can see how they're performing in interviews to allow them to constantly improve and hopefully improve and hone a really important skill for being successful after university. We were delighted to win the Target Jobs Award. The award itself is for Best University Employability Strategy, and really I think one of the main reasons we won the award is because of our inclusive approach. So we've managed to embed employability across the curriculum, which obviously ensures that all students, whatever background they're from, whatever confidence level maybe they're at that current time, they get key employability skills as part of their course here at university, so one we're particularly proud of.
Now it's time for the discussion with our expert panel. As previously promised, Staffordshire University has a very strong tie with the local and the regional businesses, along with a strong network of alumni and honorary doctorates as well. We can all work together to put social mobility at the heart of what we do. Joining Liz and of course Justine as well, in this studio, we have a discussion with Councillor Abby Brown, leader to Stoke-on-Trent City Council, who heads corporate resources, strategy and partnership, and of course continues to champion why Stoke is on the up. As well as Abby, we also have Danny Flynn, the CEO of YMCA North Staffordshire. Danny, who is also an honorary doctor of Staffordshire University, has more than 35 years experience in the charity sector, and as CEO has steered the YMCA North Staffordshire from a hostel to a multi-service youth campus, which has helped hundreds of thousands of young people. Of course, also in our panel today is Alina Pollitt, a 2019 Staffordshire University graduate who completed our design foundation course before moving on to a BA honours degree to become a 3D designer, maker of contemporary jewellery. Alina's achievements include leading the project for the Staffordshire University graduation mace and designing the fundraising ceramic butteries for the Donna Louise Children's and Young People's Hospice. Finally, we also have Carol Shanahan, OBE, who is the Port Vale FC's co-owner and chair, as well as being the co-owner and chair of Synetic Solutions, as well as the co-chair of the Stoke-on-Trent Opportunity Area Board. Carol is also an honorary doctorate of Staffordshire University. And at this point, I'd like to ask all our panelists to make sure that they're on mute, their cameras are on, and make sure they're all ready to answer any following questions coming on. And obviously, when you're not going to be discussed with us, make sure you're on mute throughout and I'll come to you accordingly. And finally, from myself, in terms of any directions for the panelists, make sure that if you want to bounce off anybody else along your fellow panelists, make sure you use the raise the hand feature and we'll come to you if time is permitted. So let's start our discussion with a question for Justine. So Justine, you have said previously universities will be key to levelling up Britain. At a time where opportunities on the ground for our young people are going to be at least their scarcest for some considerable years to come, should there be more focus on the role higher education could play?
Absolutely. I think when you look at the work that Staffordshire University is doing, it really shows the art of the possible, how levelling up and universities go hand in hand. And actually for Staffordshire, it's way more than just a widening access and participation plan. We've just seen a lot of the additional work that happens once people arrive at the university, but also, of course, we had that fantastic video about the work on esports, and it's a university that is helping to not only develop the talent locally to be able to go into what is a massive growth industry, but also in doing so can steadily attract more investment into the area because it's got the talent that those people in those industries want. And you're seeing that recognised in some of the awards that the university is getting. So there's no doubt in my mind that higher education plays a massive role in these key agenda items for Britain, whether it's levelling up, whether it's the tech growth and digital sector growth, or indeed whether it's net zero and the fact that it'll be our higher education institutions that probably develop that talent and do that research that helps us tackle climate change. The final couple of points are the best practices out there. I mean, the Opportunity Action Plan really focuses in on what Staffs is doing. There's no reason why other universities can't look and learn from that and do more and do it better. We can spread that best practice. And then I think the final point is, if we can really showcase the solutions that are already out there on the ground, then I think you can start to encourage a wider policy agenda on higher education to really put levelling up at the heart of it, and then look, if you like, at how well universities are doing through that lens, which is, I think, how you'll then finally get everyone pulling in the same direction. And, you know, as I say, it's just been fantastic to be able to work with the university, but I think it really has opened up eyes in terms of how much can be done, achieved.
Fantastic. Well, obviously, higher education for me anyway has been probably one of the best decisions of my life, and I know that the faces and the people behind Staffordshire University have always been working so hard. So thank you very much, Justine. Obviously, moving ahead onto our next question, we have Liz in the studio with us, as you can see. And so, Liz, I'll just address this to you, of course. In a COVID landscape, and with the UK's unemployment rate rising as this pandemic continues to take its toll on the job market, people obviously want to know where the jobs may be coming in the future. So my question is, how can this be addressed while also ensuring social mobility remains at the forefront of the agenda?
I think, as you've seen from the video clips that we've just watched, we work with all parts of society, and we're working now with the County Council, with the City Council, with our partners to look at how we can help people get into work, how we can also support the creation of jobs. Just this morning I've been on a meeting about the Kickstart scheme and helping people like yourself find work now, but also just earlier this week I was talking to Amazon Web Services, and we're going to jointly deliver a programme of 12 weeks to help people upskill in terms of their digital skills, their cloud-based skills, and that will also link them then into jobs. And so the university, I think, acts as a connector. We can bring in people that need work, whether they be the 16 to 18 years olds, where we can work with colleges to help deliver courses to help them into industry, whether it's with graduates, or those people who are in work but maybe low skilled work, would prefer to go into higher skilled jobs, and we can offer them support to upskill. And those that are in work where they need to pivot maybe to upskill, to reskill, so that they're better prepared for the work of the future. So that working in partnership's absolutely crucial here, but also recognising that we work right across the community, wherever people are, whatever family background they have, whatever kind of work they've been in, whatever schools they've been to, there are opportunities working with the university and our partners, colleges and schools.
I know, as a personal student, obviously just the past 3 years, I could tell that obviously it's down to the student as well, but the opportunities are certainly there. You just got to go seek them. And if you obviously have any questions, we had the likes of Martin Perfect, who spoke earlier in the programme, who can obviously bounce off, and you can get in touch with what opportunities are there for that school, that specific industry, of course. So obviously that's a massive
Yeah, and Martin and his team are there for our graduates forever after they've left. It isn't just as they're walking out the door, literally years later. We've probably got graduates out there now who are suffering because of the COVID impact, and they can reconnect with us and we'll help them into work and help them to upskill. So there's a big role that universities can play currently.
Fantastic, thank you very much. Obviously, moving on, thank you so much, Liz, of
Thank
course. Carol, I'd like to obviously come to you. As co-chair of the Stoke-on-Trent Opportunity Area Board, you're passionate, of course, about the need to build opportunity for all our children and young people, that next generation. You also founded the Hub Foundation, a charity based here in the Potteries, which operates from schools and community centres, supporting the children and their families with food and activities during school holidays. In your view, what needs to change to ensure more families are given the chance to improve their lives?
I think that, I mean, one of the things that I've just heard Liz say a few times is talking about the role of the university within the community. I think there's a role of football clubs as well. And I think, you know, one of the things that this lockdown has really shown us this year is, in a community, you have lots of organisations that all have a part to play, and it's not a dependency culture, so it isn't all coming from the local authority or all coming from government. schools, football clubs. Danny's on from the YMCA, so that sector as well. You know, everybody has a role to play. It's our community, and we're all in it together. And what the Hub Foundation and Port Vale Foundation have been doing throughout lockdown is just trying to bring as much of the community together as they possibly can, so that we all help the children and the families within the city. And we still are. And I think people are thought, well, you know, lockdown's not full on now, so there isn't the support needed, where in actual fact that the support is needed very much. We are still delivering 700 or 800 meals a day to children and families across the city, and we get those referrals through the schools. And so we worked very closely, and I think we need to look at the roles of schools. They're a lot more than a provider of education now. They are social hubs, and they're a safe place where, you know, if a family comes into the city, the one place they feel really safe is the school. And so, but we need to then accept that and support the school to become that, which is what we did with the opportunity area with Better Together by putting social workers into schools. It was trying to show that actually if health and social services and education work together, we get a better system for the community than keeping everybody separate. So that's my thing, is bring organisations together to all play their role, but it's only together that we're going to really take the city through this time.
Well, thank you very much, Carol. Obviously, an integral part of not only Port Vale, but also the fan base and the surrounding communities of Stoke-on-Trent as well. A prominent figure indeed. So thank you very much for your time. Another interesting and important figure, of course, is moving on to our next question. And that is obviously the individual I'm speaking of is Councillor Abby Brown. So Abby, when it comes to social mobility, what role should the local government play, and what is happening here on the ground here at Stoke-on-Trent?
Well, thank you for inviting me to be part of the panel today. And of course, local government has a massive part to play in all of this. We are one of the leaders of place, and I would say largely the glue that holds many of the things we've talked about together. Often together, I find myself in all sorts of different varieties of meetings every day that touch every segment of life here in the city. And I think therefore it's crucial that we understand what part we play in being able to bring people together just to have conversations, but more directly to influence things that happen here in the city every day. We talk about being leaders of place, but we also have a huge influence over people's lives too, in a way. Whether it's at the beginning of life, already been referenced so far, the importance about tackling infant mortality here in Stoke-on-Trent, which is something I feel quite passionately about. And we are obviously involved as an organisation in how we strategically work with our partners in health, in the public sector, through the Health and Wellbeing Board, to address things like that, to ensure that our young people have the very best start in life. And of course here in Stoke-on-Trent as well, very heavily focused at the moment on number one priorities, improving outcomes for our children and young people as we move forward. And then, of course, through to school, as Carol has already referenced, in terms of ensuring, although we don't have direct responsibility for schools any longer, we have responsibility to ensure that the well-being of our young people is a priority. So my conversation with schools is about how do we do that at a strategic level? How do we ensure that we are giving every child the opportunity to achieve everything they possibly can do? How can I ensure that they have the best opportunities that is available to them wherever they live in Stoke-on-Trent? And then, of course, as people grow up and move forward, you know, we talk about Stoke-on-Trent being a great place to live, work and visit. And again, you know, the council has huge influence over all of those things, whether it's where you live. We want a fantastic range of properties here within the city. Yesterday, I was really pleased. We had a big development that was approved for just over 300 properties on a site on the edge of the city centre. And not really relevant to social mobility, but it kind of is in a way. We are brilliant at developing brownfield land here in Stoke-on-Trent. We brought forward over 1,000 units last year that were completed, and 97% of those were on brownfield land. Whilst I might not see much of a link there to social mobility, it's all about perception actually. And as a city, we are really good at changing people's perceptions. Obviously, it's been a long journey, and one of the latest speakers after me, Danny Flynn, is an expert at telling people to sharpen the pencil and listen to what he's got to say about our fantastic city. But in effect, creating great housing is linked heavily into social mobility, having a range of places for people to live. Then, of course, work. How do we bring in better jobs here, as well as how do we grow our own existing businesses here? We do benefit from FDI that comes into the city, foreign direct investment, but we also have quite a lot of businesses here that have come into the city and continue to grow here. And how do we work with them to increase, for example, the range of opportunities they've had? Perhaps a slightly unusual one just to focus on for 2 minutes that I bet nobody ever thinks about in Stoke-on-Trent. We have the UK headquarters of Michelin here, and they do various bits of their business from here. They actually operate a call centre for Sweden in Stoke-on-Trent. So we have native Swedish speakers who live here in Stoke-on-Trent, only a small number of them. And I hope it's Swedish, but I'm fairly certain it's one of the countries over there that we have based here. But who would have thought that about Stoke-on-Trent? And we need more of that, don't we? More of those exciting little snippets of different jobs that people don't expect to find here. And then, of course, why would we be a great place to visit? And we have to remember as well that tourism isn't just about people who come here to visit. It's actually about all of us, isn't it? And what we do in our day-to-day lives, because we are tourists in our own towns, and we should be more of tourists in our own towns. So making it a great place to live, work and visit is so important to us as a council moving forward. I won't talk any more about those sorts of things, but there is plenty of opportunities here in the city that is working on all of those. I could probably fill the next 20 minutes on them.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much. Obviously, Abby, it's a very integral part of not just supporting your local community, but supporting the community in itself to make those opportunities more prevalent. Is there anybody else in the panel? I'll just open this up to anybody else who would love to just touch on the back of the importance of supporting the local community and those individuals and communities within it. If there's not a worry, we've obviously got much more to come. Okay, no, it's all right, but feel free to raise your hand if you would like to add to any points. I'll move on instead to Danny, of course, who will head over to you for the next question. Obviously, the YMCA helps young people to build thriving lives. What difference does the charity sector make to that social mobility, and of course, crucially, what is needed to help you reach more people and transform more lives? I have a couple of technical issues. Can you hear me all okay, Danny?
I can hear you. My computer seems to have...
That's okay. No, not a problem at all.
Come back to me. My computer seems to have died.
No, that's no problem at all. It's a virtual event, and of course, we've all experienced throughout lockdown how annoying that internet connection can sometimes be. Feel free to take your time, Danny, and we'll come back to you in due course, of course. In the meantime, we'll head over to Alina for the next question. Obviously, you've only, just like myself, graduated recently in 2019, and you said you wanted to set an example for your children. So how did education change your life, and what can be done to encourage more people to access life-changing opportunities?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can definitely hear you all okay. Go ahead.
Yes. First of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Lina Polit, and I would like to tell you my little story. I originally am from Russia, and I came over 15 years ago, and I got married. I had 2 children, and I didn't really know what I could have done, with my education, and it was really difficult because I didn't know anything about it. And one day, one of my friends advised to go to Staffordshire University, simple as that. And I went there, and I fell in love. I fell in love with everything, and the workshops, the people, they were so lovely. And I applied, and I got my place in a foundation degree, and followed by 3D design craft. And from day one, I had help and support from my course leader, Tim Forrester, and it was absolutely outstanding. It was later on when I met David Hawkins, the Dean of Creative Arts and Engineering, and we designed and made our graduation maze. It was later on when I met Gareth Higgins, the Managing Director of KMF Group. And we did our collaborative project for Donna Louise Trust, and I designed the butterfly projects for them. It was really, really exciting project. And it was later on when I had an opportunity to work with Wedgwood designers as a silversmith, because I'm not a ceramicist, I'm a jewelry maker. And of course I was honored to meet Liz Barnes, our amazing Liz Barnes. And it's been a genuine honor to meet all these people and work along with them. And I remember when I graduated in 2019, I had a mixture of emotions, and I was really happy, but I was sad at the same time because I had to leave all these wonderful people, and in my mind I thought I will never see them again, and I was really sad. So my message is that the education is accessible at any point in your life. And don't be afraid to follow your dreams and to challenge yourself. For example, my son, he is dreaming about being a doctor now. And I would encourage anybody to go for it. And the only thing is holding you back is you. And I would like to say that through Staffordshire University, I've been able to advance my education further. And I'm studying my master's degree in BCU now at School of Jewellery. My advice, well, the reputation of universities is growing, I think, and we need to keep promoting the opportunities for prospective students. And we need to tell them it is accessible, and we can do it, and you can do it. If I could, anyone can. And I would like to say a massive thank you to Staffordshire University. I miss you all. Thank you.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for those kind words. Obviously, it's very much appreciated. Obviously, we're going to head back to Danny now to see if you're there, Danny. Obviously, my further question previously, I hope you can hear me all okay, was that what is the difference does the charity sector make to social mobility? And more crucially, what is needed to help you reach more people and transform more lives? Over to you.
Thank you. I think you can hear me now.
Yep, all
Blinking
good.
technology drives you crackers. Firstly, I want to thank you for inviting me to this panel. I guess the first thing I want to say is I've kind of come to the conclusion that the only difference between rich and poor folks is life chances. And I think the real opportunity we've got working in partnership, and I love Stoke-on-Trent. Me and Abby love Stoke-on-Trent. We're obsessive. And so does Carol, and so does Elaine, we've just heard. And I know Justine's a big fan now, because once you come to Stoke, you feel it, don't you? But I think the only difference
Very
is
big fan, Danny.
Yeah, brilliant, brilliant. I know you are. And I think the social mobility pledge is a real opportunity to kind of almost mathematically gather all of those life chances in partnership and offer them to the people of Stoke-on-Trent and beyond. And I think people often talk about, you know, lack of aspiration and all these myths around Stoke-on-Trent, and it drives me crackers, to be honest, because it isn't about lack of aspiration, it's about lack of opportunity. So coming together at this point, having a focus on social mobility, recognising that, and the question was, you know, how can the voluntary sector help this? I want to share my personal story a little bit about this, because I left school in 1980. I was made redundant twice by 1982. And then I went to college and started educating myself. And then I volunteered in London as an outreach worker in a homeless project for a year. And then I started in this career. So I started life as an apprentice mechanic, and that's what you do in Stoke and blah, 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 blah. And education fundamentally changed my life. But it was a process of going to London. There was a new geography, new relationships, new opportunities, new life chances for me. And the lads in Stoke used to call me a bit, oh, you're a bit of a weirdo, you've gone to London. But it fundamentally unlocked my life. And working at the YMCA, all we've been trying to do is use the World YMCA as opportunities for kids in Stoke. More life chances, more opportunities, more jobs. And I think that's what the voluntary sector can offer at best. Sometimes I think the voluntary sector's been simply a subcontractor to the state, and it needs to be much more than that. It needs to go on and back to its missional purposes. It knows about people very well. And I think coming together in this commitment of partnership will unlock life chances. We've already seen it. And I want to give you another real example of my life 35 years later, as somebody helpfully said earlier on. I felt really old. 35 years. Help me, please. I want to talk about the amazing commitment and partnership in the Pathway to Success, which was a university-pushed model to try and get what we used to call, I don't like the term socially excluded, because it has lots of connotations around, and I can understand it. But so in the Pathway to Success, we had a focus on as many life chances as possible with young people. We have a theory of change based on the development assets approach, which is investing in young people's assets. Often people like me can be a bit sort of commentators of all the problems, and if only the government did this, and if only Abby Brown did that, and if only Carol did this. And I think we've got to be more mature than that and come as a partnership. So when young people arrive on the campus, 85% of those people, often coming from tougher backgrounds, are not in employment, education and training. Within a year, 13% of their peers are, that's the figure for the average young person in the country. Within a year, 65% of those people are actively involved in education, training and employment. We're working with Carol and the Hub Foundation, working with students, working with interns, getting as many relationships going as possible. And I'm really, really happy and pleased to say 19 people got into university this year across the country. I want to applaud Staffordshire University, because 9 of those people, Stokies love Stoke, don't they? 9 of those people have got into Staffordshire University. And obviously I'm a big fan of Staffordshire University. And I just want to applaud everybody. I want to encourage everybody. Stoke is on the up. And I think it's, rather than the kind of chattering all the issues, let's look at the life chances and just grow kids. And I think young people need to see it. So I just want to applaud you, Elena. I want to applaud the students and the mentors, because young people need young people to show them the way forward. I think sometimes 55-year-old people like me need to stop pretending they're the oldest youth worker in town. You know, I'm a dad. I'm not a granddad yet, and I think we need to give young people their power and their influence and the support, because they're the life chance too. So quite excited really about this morning.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much, Danny. I know that's actually a really important point. Some of course, the biggest mentors to me, obviously apart from my lecturers and the surrounding community of Stoke-on-Trent, of Staffordshire University, was actually those individuals and those students in the years above me, or people who have just graduated, gave me so much more advice and could guide me and give me more, essentially, the confidence to carry on what I'm doing, obviously, today after graduating. So also now I want to open up this to a more of a discussion-based element to this live stream, and I would like to obviously open this to everybody on our panelists today. I'm going to ask a couple of questions, and as I'm reading this question out, if you feel like you would love to add something, then please raise your hand, or if you can't quite find that raise a hand feature, feel free to vigorously wave at your screen and we'll obviously come across to you. So the first question is obviously open to everybody, as well as yourself, Liz. We'll come back to you on it, of course. But the first question is, the Social Mobility Pledge initiative has so far and worked with more than 500 businesses. This is, of course, isn't a new thing. It's been going for several years, and the higher education institutions are a massive part of that, as you can see today. But my question is, so in your mind, what does real commitment to social mobility look like?
Shall I start?
Yeah, feel free, Liz. And then obviously everybody wants to jump off that, then we'll go. I think we'll head over to Justine just after yourself, Liz.
I think what's really important here is this isn't just about universities and our commitment to social mobility. This is about industry. And if we think historically about who we appoint into jobs, there've been a lot of appointing people who look like ourselves into the roles who are coming behind, and actually we've got to change that. This is about using different kind of selection methods. It's about the things that Martin Perfect was talking about, the opportunities that we give to students during their studies to engage with the workplace, to understand the sorts of jobs that they can have and to open those opportunities. So the work Justine's doing with industry is so important here, because, and it's our duty to open the doors for those coming behind us. I think in the past there's been a habit at times maybe of closing the door. We've made it and we're going to protect ourselves, but you know, we've really got to use the passion that everybody on this panel is showing and help young people as they drive forward, and make sure that industry looks widely and recruits right across and is inclusive in its recruitment practices, and then how they support development once these people are in work.
Fantastic. And obviously, like I said before, we'll jump across to Justine. Is there anything you'd like to add on what Liz has just said there?
I think Liz is completely right, but for me it was always about leadership through action on the ground and going beyond words, if you like, to genuinely grassroots change. 100% agree with what everyone else on the panel has said, and in a way it's about a mindset shift. You know, Britain is a diverse country. That's an advantage, and we'll do better when we find ways to tap into it. And part of the challenge on social mobility is on other inequalities. It's more obvious. So if a boardroom's only got one woman on it, you can tell. But actually social mobility is far more hidden. And I think through the pledge, what's been brilliant is all these people are coming forward who are saying, well, this is my journey, this is what I care about, and this is how I can make a difference. And a lot of them are in business. And so I think the more we can have those companies open up their doors, then we can start to really see change on the ground that will absolutely make a difference to young people in places like Stoke. I grew up in Rotherham, probably not massively dissimilar to Stoke. There's a huge amount of talent in these communities, and what I want to do through the pledge is make sure that companies can reach it and make the most of it. And that's not just good for Stoke, it's actually good for the whole country.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much, Justine. I'll head over to Danny as well, another huge person who's massively passionate about Stoke-on-Trent. I know you want to add a couple of things to that as well.
I think, you know, the question, how do we grow it, how do we sustain it? I think it's a long-term job. It can't be seen as a quick, I mean, often social programmes are in kind of 3-year government programmes, but, you know, Stoke has had a long history of, you know, deindustrialisation, what's it for? Load of myths are created. I've been on a load of education boards where I'm the only Stokey there on the education board, and they come out with things like, well, all the talent leaves Stoke, nobody's aspirational, everybody leaves and wants to go. I'm sure it's the same in Rotherham, Justine. I'm sure the same myths apply, and I think the myths, they're not real. But I also think through the social mobility pledge, helping people, you know, the old Ugandan statement, it takes a village to raise a child. We've got to look at early years work and supporting parents. You know, if you've got nothing in your house, if you're struggling for food, education kind of comes second, doesn't it? So we've got to recognise there's a journey, you know, due respect to Carol here, in terms of that passion of food and the football club being a real community hub, because people can feel safe there. People can feel loved there. People can feel confident there in places of safety that they recognise and they own. I also think there's this, everybody can offer a bit of help. So working in partnership, you know, an employer doesn't really want to do, you know, social work or make the kids the sandwiches. That might be my job. You know, that might be my job to support those people in. So everybody can add a bit. And I think coming together, there's almost, I'm not very good at maths really, but there's almost a mathematical equation that you can begin to add, recognise what life chances are, and then start sort of creating them in a structure that allows them to be deployed at the right time, at the right place, with the right people. Because often it's about timing with kids, isn't it? It's about grabbing a young person when they're feeling motivated and hot, and corralling around those young people with positive messages. So rather than me, when I was, you know, in 1982, my mates used to call me one of them because I went to college and I went to London, and that was seen as strange. We've got to normalise it, haven't we? And celebrate, like Elena, celebrate the fantastic achievement that young people will, can and do make, and make people like 55-year-olds like me redundant. That's the answer.
Well, I'm sure, Danny, that you've got many more years to come, my friend, and I can definitely share on that mathematical struggle as well. But no, obviously, of course, going a bit further on, it's really important to make sure that we give the young people of today, like myself and younger generations, future generations, that confidence to get outside their comfort zone and challenge a little bit further. My next question, of course, is to all of you once again, and we'll start with Liz. But my question is obviously social mobility levels have for several years been seemingly stagnant, and it can take generations for a child from an unprivileged or poor background to reach that average income, for example. Are you worried about how that economic fallout off the back of what is being COVID-19 this year, that this pandemic will worsen that gap and worsen that problem?
Well, of course, we're all worried about how the pandemic hits, but I think what is really positive is the action we're seeing being taken locally, that we are working as partners to look to create those opportunities. That, you know, all the work happening with schools and with families. I mean, the point Danny made there, you know, it starts with early years. But we're going to work together to create new jobs. We've got lots of apprentices coming through. We've got lots of investment from government at the moment for these new schemes. And we've got opportunity in Stoke, as Abby said. We've got all sorts of new opportunities with investment coming in. And yesterday, the Comprehensive Spending Review did focus on the levelling up agenda. It's going to be so important that we see some of that investment coming in. One of our university key performance indicators is to retain our graduates here. And the only way we can do that is by creating the jobs. So we're also going to be focusing on enterprise and innovation and entrepreneurship. And I think collectively, the people you see on this panel today are some of the people that will really help to create these jobs and opportunities. So yes, there's lots of worries, but we're working collectively. We're also providing mentorship, and so creating new opportunities and helping people in the pathways to help them progress, and hopefully to do something constructive with their time whilst the jobs might not be available today. And you know that from your own experience. We'll create opportunities to help grow those skills. Volunteering opportunities are always there. So I think it's about working together. To help people move forward.
Massively important. So yeah, thank you for touching on that actually.
Thank you.
Obviously coming off the back of that, I'd love to speak to Abby Brown on your thoughts with regards to what Liz has just said and the original question, of course. What would you like to say about that?
Well, first start by saying I completely agree with everything that Liz has said actually. When I started out in politics, I think politics is really interesting because certainly as a local councillor, you don't often think of yourself as being a politician. It takes a while until somebody says, actually, you are a politician. And I remember at the start of my journey as a politician, when I didn't think I was a politician, kind of following a bit of a fake it till you make it. I wasn't very confident. I didn't necessarily know always what I was talking about, but if you exude confidence, you eventually become good enough so you're not faking it, you are genuinely confident in what you're doing. And I think that that's something that applies actually quite strongly to us as a city, that we have lacked confidence in what we've done, and we have always looked for other people to help us, but the reality is we do amazingly well ourselves. A number of people on the panel were on the journey with me when we bid to be City of Culture, and when we talk about that, we talk about the fact that we didn't win because we won already. This is a fantastic place to live with fantastic people here and all the best attributes you could want. Why would anybody want to live anywhere else, really? And I think we need to continue to push that through because we do have all the great things here. We have fantastic universities, we have fantastic employers, we live in a beautiful area of the country. I can be in the countryside in 15 minutes, I can be in the middle of a beautifully sized city, enjoying the benefits of doing that too. We just need to have the confidence to continue to push through around doing this, and you know, I really strongly believe that of course the money is always welcome from government and we will continue to strive for all those things, but we actually hold the secret to success ourselves. We just need to believe that we can do it.
Well, that's really important. Thank you so much, Abby. Obviously, that confidence in individuals, but also the community around you is so important. And obviously, you're a massive part of that. So thank you. And another individual, as we stated earlier, was obviously Carol Shanahan. You've obviously been a massive part of that. Is there anything that you'd like to add what Abby has just said?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I'd like to thank Justine for her involvement with the Opportunity Area project at the beginning, and it's been so good for the city to have that independent view, and I think we've Liz and I have worked with the Department of Education to really bring something that was Stoke specific rather than
indeed.
So I'm really pleased with that, and thank you. For me, I mean, it's a bit like Catholicism. There are cradle Stokies and converts, and Danny is a cradle Stokey, and I'm a convert, and you get richness from both. And from a convert, you get the evangelicism, and you get the, I can see things that some Stokies can't, because they just don't see that anymore. It's just part of their fabric. But what I understand is that Stoke's identity, Stoke's personality, came from the pottery industry and the mines, so the pits and the pots. And that brought a magnet for the workforce to come. So people came to live in Stoke to get a job because jobs were here. And that in itself brought a stronger identity. Since post the industrialisation time, when both the pottery industry is decimated, and so is the mining industry, we now are in that transition to move to its new identity, because the workforce is still there. People are coming into the city, and they are, like Elena's come into the city and is now very much part of that workforce. But it's seeing what we emerge as. And all those talents in the pottery industry translate into other materials. And there's a lot of work. I've been on a few business award panels, and you look at some of the work that we're doing in this area, and if we can keep building on that, and as Abby said, if we can get that confidence back that we had when the pottery industry was thriving, but make it into the new 2020 version of that. And I think we're doing that. I think that the work that the council are doing, the LEP and the university, I think we are beginning to create the new Stoke-on-Trent, and it's really exciting. It's a fantastic city to be in and to be part of. But we do need any help from initiatives like the Opportunity Area, so to give us that funding to go and try new things and to create this new feeling for the city. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Carol. Obviously, that new feeling is so essential. And I know you obviously mentioned Justine's work there. I'd like to just, obviously, conscious of time, but love to just hand over to Justine just to bounce off what was just said there.
Well, I mean, obviously, I did the opportunity areas because I felt that at the end of the day, it wasn't about devolving education, because I wanted the DFE to take responsibility for what was happening in local communities. It was about building one team to work in a community, but it being community led and it being your priorities. And as Danny says, starting right from the beginning in early years. And fundamentally for me, the levelling up agenda is about people and investing in people. I think if you can then start to marry it up with the opportunities that are there for them, and Abby talked really passionately about why Stoke can be such a fantastic place to get investment into, from businesses as well as government. That's when you start to get a winning formula. But fundamentally for me, Danny talked about a Ugandan phrase. The African proverb I love the most is, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And levelling up's about people, because it's people who change things, and it'll be people who deliver levelling up, and it'll be people who lift our country when they get more life opportunities and life chances. That's why this agenda matters so much. So for me, it's obviously a pleasure to be able to be part of the work that you're doing, and to being able to work with Liz and Staffordshire University on the Opportunity Action Plan. I feel like it's all coming together.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much, Justine, for those words. Obviously, I want to thank all the panellists and obviously Liz here, who has obviously been a massive part of this panel discussion. That does conclude that area of the stream for now. And obviously, thank you once again for their contributions. And we're going to move on to the signing of the Opportunity Action Plan, as previously mentioned. If we had been able to join one another in person today on our Connected campus, then there would have been an actual physical signing. However, of course, since this has to be a virtual socially distant event, we want to reflect our status as the UK's foremost digital university. It obviously helps that, of course. We've decided to get a little bit creative, and so here it is. Well, there it is, of course. Now, before we'd wrap up, I'd obviously love the opportunity to just pass over back to Liz and Justine for some brief closing remarks. So, Justine, I'll head over to you first.
Well, I think I said everything I wanted to say just before. It's been I pay tribute to the work that Staffordshire University is doing, and to everyone else who's on the panel for what is a brilliant effort that genuinely, I believe, can transform lives. I'm certainly committed to continuing through the Social Mobility Pledge to make sure that I do everything I can to widen up those opportunities to all the talent that your city and the region has.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much, Justine. Now I'll hand over to Liz, who is in our studio for the conclusion of this event.
Thank you, and I'll just carry on and repeat what Carol said. Justine, thank you for what you've brought to Staffordshire University and Stoke-on-Trent in terms of, firstly, the opportunity area, and now the opportunity to be involved in this fantastic initiative, our Social Mobility Pledge. And I'd also like to make my thank yous to, firstly, I'll start with our graduates. To Joe, thank you for today, and I wish you every success as you look for a job going forward, and I hope things improve very quickly. To Alina, who's just graduated, and as she said, she stays very much in touch and comes to see us. To Abby, who hasn't mentioned, she's also a Staffordshire graduate, and that's why we're very proud of our graduates in and around Stoke, but also globally, actually, right across the world. And finally, to Danny and Carol, who are also graduates because they're honorary graduates. And what we do is we're recognising the passion and everything that Danny, Carol, our honorary graduates, but also our graduates put into this city and to this university, and in supporting our graduates as they go forward. So, and thank you now to those that have turned in to watch our live stream on YouTube. We really appreciate your support here today, and I know that you've worked with us over some considerable time and will continue to do so in the future. But of course, our work doesn't end here in Staffordshire University. We've been identified as a trailblazer in social mobility, and our efforts will continue at a pace to ensure that we're all doing all we can in our power to help people to follow their ambitions and to transform their lives. So thank you once again for joining us, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.